Hello, welcome, listeners. This is Reverend Dr. Anthusa Helena with Sollite Integrative Medicine for Healing and Conscious Awakening. For more details about private sessions and training programs, log on to www.sollite.com. Now, today we are progressing with our Hope and Inspiration interview series. And I'm so excited to introduce a really long time good friend of mine, colleague, students together, teacher, just everything to me. I've gone to her for my own personal healing and just wonderful inspiration to me. She's done so much with her life, author, and runs her own clinic, as well as focuses on conscious feminine medicine. So I want to introduce and let her introduce herself even more in length. Dr. Leonor Murciano-Luna with Conscious Feminine Medicine. Today, thank you. I'm so happy to be together, and I'm looking forward to how you're going to inspire those that are our viewers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's wonderful. Yes, sisters, soul sisters on the path.
Yes.
Each other for a very long time. Thank you for having me. And I think these series is wonderful, of inspiring and hope, because, if anything's clear now with the whole, COVID and all of the things that we've been seeing in the last year or two, it's just, we need the hope. We need the inspiration. We need to be able to connect to that, to find it and find it within ourselves, which is a lot of what, Conscious Feminine Medicine is my company. It's a non-for-profit organization that I created after many years of working in private, in my private clinic, nourishing women here in South Florida. And really, Conscious Feminine Medicine is really, just that. It's a system that is for women specifically, to help women heal on all levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually, by really going to the root of where we are separated from our own divinity, from our own essence. And it's really about reclaiming that divinity within us. It's finding that inspiration and hope, not, just outside of ourselves, but really within, so that we can heal these places that are showing these imbalances. Because as you know, and I know you know this from your work, very similar work,
yes.
A lot of the imbalances that we see physically, the physical disorders, diseases, the emotional disorders are rooted in this really primal separation from our own soul, from our essence.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so, so it's been my journey as well. It's like we always teach what we need to learn, what we need to perfect, of really, from very early on, looking around me and, with my family of origin, and not really feeling that, where's the love? Where's the peace? Where's the safety? That wasn't really there. It's like that, this can't be, what life is about. There has to be so much more.
Yes.
And so for me, that's been the journey, and, my own, which we're not going to get into today, but my own challenges, my own traumas that I've had, and working through those and exploring, not just physically, but also, moving through different spiritual paths to find what works, what doesn't work. And in the culmination of that, and around 2010, I started to really get very clear on this whole download of conscious feminine medicine and what that means. And it's really it's really where we are collectively now, which is really acknowledging this feminine essence, a feminine presence that we, again, been disconnected, especially in our culture, living in this patriarchal culture for women. There's a lot of unprocessed, unresolved pain, not just from ourselves, from all of the generations before us. I mean, not all, but at least 5,000 years. All of that, we're here. And I feel that a lot of us are being asked to actually heal that for ourselves and for the planet. And, as we're, collectively, as we're all kind of shifting from this fear and survival paradigm that we've been in, to a paradigm of love and of abundance, which, we can call the feminine, right? That's the aspect of that mother aspect of that unconditional essence. And so conscious feminine medicine is really about understanding that you are the medicine. You carry that within you.
Right.
Yeah. And you can access that. It's like, how do we even access that? Most of us are stressed out, or have anxiety. I mean, I think it's like 43% of Americans take some kind of medication for mood alteration. So yeah, it's really high. And we don't really know how to deal with our fear, that unconscious fear that's kind of underneath our anxiety, underneath all of the nervous system, issues that we have, the stress that we feel, which is really rooted in fear. And for women, that's been even more heightened because we have lived in this society, in this culture, where as primary carriers of those feminine qualities, we've been rejected. We've learned how to reject ourselves. We've learned how to deny ourselves. We've learned how to hate ourselves, beginning with our bodies, or to fit in a particular mold,
right,
that doesn't honor really who we are.
Right.
And so it's like breaking through that, because that's all happening subconsciously, for us, whether we acknowledge it or not. And all of that unrest makes us feel, it might manifest in some kind of disorder, like we were talking about, thyroid issues, reproductive issues, nervous system issues, stress, this kind of catch-all word. But most importantly, even in the heart, where we're unhappy, where we don't feel fulfilled, or even we don't feel safe.
Definitely, yes. And especially now, like you said, it's so heightened for everybody just because of what we've been through the last year and continuing on. And something that you said too really rang true for me. If you've never been in that environment growing up to really know what love is, or femininity is, or your own empowerment, you have no idea. It's like, what are you even searching for, trying to remember what to do if you never had an example, right?
Yeah. And what happens is, most of us were not raised with families or what do we want to say, parents or caretakers that were conscious of their divinity. Again, in this patriarchy, we've learned that it's outside of us. We don't have that. Oh, no, that's not, we can't go there. And then we become dependent on others, and we become dependent on the outside, which is fleeting, which is, it's going to give us some kind of, instant gratification. But the moment that whatever that is, a person, a thing, an experience, isn't there, then we're left with that emptiness again. We're left with that void again. And more so, we're left with that fear again. And so really, I think the greatest inspiration, and I want to go back before I go into that point about what you said, with the whole, COVID and what we've been experiencing and the fear. that I feel it's that fear has been operating kind of like subliminally in all of us for a very long time. And now it's just kind of up where we could see it, where we have to deal with it, where we have to look at our own mortality against this whole theme of COVID and this whole pandemic, right?
Right.
Regardless of whatever side of that, you fall on, you believe it, you don't believe it, because there's so many viewpoints. Regardless, it's brought up the issue. We gotta deal with our own mortality and look at this, and deal with our own fears, right? As they're coming up. Do we feel safe? Do we feel safe around others? Do we feel safe, in the world, etc. So in a way, I mean, that's kind of like the blessing, if you want to, say that, because in a way it's like now we have to deal with it. Now it's not subconscious. I mean, people like us that have been, on this kind of journey, we're always looking, but a lot of people, it's been a wake-up call.
Yes, and they've never been on a journey or even, like
they didn't know where to look, right? They didn't even realize that they carry all that power, that power comes from within.
Right.
So in many ways, it has been a wake-up call. And so, and another thing that we don't have as women, or even as a, women and men, because of course, everything I'm saying applies to both women and men, except for the fact that women have been persecuted and men have not, in general, as a gender. Women have been persecuted for their gender. So that creates a whole other layer that we can't just kind of like skip over. That has to be healed so that we can understand and return to that sacredness in our physical body. And yes, I mean, in a lot of ways, when we are connecting with that dimension, it's a spiritual dimension and there's no gender, but we're living in a physical body.
Right.
And I believe one of the beliefs is that, in the physical body, we're here to heal the trauma that we've experienced physically through these generations.
Yes.
So yes, it makes a difference. We can't just skip over it and say, oh, we're just going to be enlightened and, be in our light body. And that's part of it. But the feminine aspect is really about embodying that spirituality and living it in the physical realm, and not making the physical realm like a lesser category, or thinking, oh, we just want spirit. And, the body is not, this is like more of the masculine paradigm of, or I should say the distorted masculine paradigm of spirituality, right? Where the choice is to just go into the spirit, and the body is, well, that's kind of secondary. That's not as important. But the truth is that as physical beings, we feel our spirit through our body.
Right.
You cannot. And so the whole feminine revolution is to kind of like re-spiritualize the physical realm, including the earth, which has been really, destroyed in many ways and dishonored, and we find ourselves, where we are on the planet. So kind of circling back, it's really a process of recognizing that not only is our essence sacred, we carry this divinity, but how to practically access that.
Right.
It's not just a concept. It's not just like, oh, okay, like there's a lot of new age concepts and some of them are like amazing. But it's like, okay, now we need to actually integrate it in the heart levels where, where we're feeling our humanity, where we're feeling our pain, where we're feeling our fears, where we're feeling our shadow. And it's like merge that with that divine, essence that we are, right? So that we can become that fully human experience, which is the human being. It's the being, the spiritual, the divinity in us, and the physical. And so it's like living heaven on earth, right? But embodying that.
Yeah.
And that's all right here. It's in your body, it's in my body, and it's just a matter of moving through our breath, doing some embodied practices, feeling our feelings, because those have been demonized, and along with our feminine body, unless you look like a certain particular image that's acceptable. And it's really about feeling ourselves and loving. It's like underneath all of those feelings, underneath all of those mental constructs, conditioning, thoughts, what is there is that essence, is that love, is that unconditional, omnipresent love, because that's what manifests everything else, right? That's source.
Yes, and I'm glad you got on to giving us some examples of how one would, go in this direction, because I heard them from you just now, and I definitely agree with you got to walk through those feelings, and
Yeah.
I think that's again difficult for some people that have really never addressed or
Right.
been able to, really want to be accepting or confronting what they feel inside. Confronting might not be the right word, but yeah, I think those are very important points. How you work with somebody to get them to the point of that empowerment, or heaven and earth, spirit and body integrated together.
Right. Yeah. And it's not easy to go through fear or trauma, any kind of trauma responses, fear or terror. And I've had, my share. To me, it's the hardest feelings to go through, because you really believe that there's nothing underneath you, that there's nothing else there. And these are places where our consciousness, where our awareness is not connected to the true essence of who we are, right? To our divine. And we believe in that moment, and we experience ourselves as separate, right? Yeah. And so there's nothing else. So if you're going to dive into this dark hole where there's only fear and terror, so a lot of times it's important to really work with someone else in those places.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You need
because you need someone to hold that space for you, so that you can feel safe.
Right.
And safety is, in my opinion, is one of the most important things that you need in order to continue to open and to continue to allow, these denser vibrations, these denser feelings to transform within you. You need the safety. And sometimes that comes, in the form of a person, of someone that can guide you through the forest,
Right. Somebody that's been there, like I think
exactly.
have walked through some difficult challenges. And so just having our own personal experience helps another person be guided through, because we kind of know where the pit holes are, if that's, or the crevices or the valleys, right?
Yeah. And you're holding, and then you're holding that truth for that person that doesn't know it. And that is so important, because you can feel when you're next to someone that isn't scared easily, with a lot of emotions. A lot of times I always chuckle, because when you see people crying or emoting, most people get nervous, and they'll be like, oh, no, don't cry, no, everything's fine, and like placate it even more, and repress it even more. And I'm like, it's one of the things I laugh about, and I don't know if you ever remember this. It's like when I'm with someone in session and they go into like, oh, there's fear, I'm so scared. I'm like, good. And they're like, what? But it's good, because it's like we need to go through, it's like these dark clouds in order to actually get to the sun. The sun is always shining, whether there's dark clouds or there's no clouds. But the sun, it's like the sun within us, our light, it's always there. And we're going to land. It's like learning time and time again that we're going to be able to land in that love. We cannot not land there. We're breathing, it's breathing us, it's animating us, it's a life force. And so that is within us. And we get, it's like the more that we walk on the path, we understand and we get it. We get it intellectually too. It's like, okay, no matter how dark, how much pain I'm in, how much grief I'm feeling right now, it's like I'm gonna land in the love. And I think that allows us to continue to transform. And sometimes we're transforming it, like I said at the beginning, for ourselves, but sometimes we're transforming it for collectively, for our lineage, for all of the women that have come before us.
Right.
And because it feels so big. It feels so big, and not only for before us, but also we're anchoring that light for all the generations coming after us. It's like, a lot of times we are, and a lot of us are really on that edge of that, that shift of consciousness.
Yeah. Right.
And it's big and we feel it. And sometimes it's a little heavy because, you're being processed
a lot.
But it's really a blessing in a way, it's really a blessing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I wanted to go backward a little bit. I remember I was at your office and getting acupuncture treatment. And all of a sudden I hit really a deep place of fear. And you were like, oh, really? That's good. And I was like, what? but yeah, walking through it and having you there by my side, guiding me and supporting me, I left your office like a new person. So
thank you.
Reinforce that.
It's very, fear, I think, is one of the hardest, even though, of course, grief can, feel hopeless and endless. And, all of the emotions can have their very, very deep, dark places. But yeah. And so that's a little bit about kind of like this whole non-for-profit organization that I've created, the Conscious Feminine Medicine. And I of course I have the private office and I do that, and I do online work as well. But a lot of the other programs are through workshops and through also a weekly like embodiment class that we do online, so that people can start to get a feel for, okay, just through my breath and through, even using my voice. So I've been doing a lot of voice and sounding, because that's another way to reclaim our voice as women.
Right.
And all of the thyroid issues that, that are going on, for women. I mean, I think thyroidism is like top of the list, in terms of disorders. It's probably the second or the third most common. And infertility is very high too. So, but using the voice, using our own, daring to start to just sound, and express some of these shadows, some of these places where we're in pain, that need the love, that are kind of up. Sometimes we get triggered and we don't know what to do with that. Right. And, and we get like an opportunity, once a week to kind of be in a safe container where we could just, and now with Zoom, everybody's on mute. So you could like say, nobody has to even hear you, it's wonderful. And giving that space to, okay, what's going on in your heart. And we move also, I work a lot with the chakras, and I work a lot with the vessels and the meridians. And I should say, so I work with two different lineages that I've been initiated, the Sufi lineage, and I've been working with that lineage since 2006. And then with the Wu healers, which is a moon lineage from like 26,000 years ago. It's very, very dear to me. And I've really been working with that, since like 98. So I'm getting up there in age, but yeah, so it's been a long time. And it's really, the Wu healers were like like the healers that would live in caves, and there were women, and that would, dance ecstatically, and, and drum, and work with certain energies in the body. And it's kind of like a pre-Taoist lineage.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so we do a lot of the dark moon practices, which is really a time of the dark moon to release, right before the new moon, the 3 days before. It's a time where we can just release and allow. It's like kind of connect with that womb and be nourished, and just allow ourselves to kind of let go of everything we no longer need. And that's, so all of the rhythm and the cycles of the moon are very important and significant, so for women.
You offer that
So we do
for
dark moon monthly, and a lot of times it's free, because I want people to actually just kind of get the flavor of their own medicine. And that's also, and all that's on the website. And then we offer the weekly, the Conscious Feminine Medicine Embodied Presence, which is weekly. It's really three times a month. And then we're going to be launching a new program, which is kind of like the foundation of this feminine spirituality that I began talking about, which is, it's based on this concept of you are the medicine. And we carry, it's like the 7 embodiments of our feminine soul. And what are they? So how do we connect with them? What are they? And so they actually manifest within us as like the medicine woman, and the feminine wisdom keepers, and the wild woman, and the cosmic womb mother. And also we have the ecstatic feminine essence. And so each one, and there's a couple more. There's the creatrix feminine, which is the one that creates, the one that manifests. So we have these 7 different archetypes, and they're correlated, of course, with different qualities, and also different shadows that they have, and different mantras for each one. And they also manifest in different aspects of our, of our chakras, or different chakras, I should say, and different moon cycles. And also, so there's all these correlations, and so once a month, we're going to be taking like a deep dive with each one. So it's really an exploration, and to use sound and mantras, and do some, kind of moving through whatever the conditioning is, wherever we're feeling limited or restricted, or in pain, or in sadness, or in fear, and empowering ourselves to bring these elements of our feminine soul to life.
So you offer so much, and you've already introduced us and spoke to our audience about so much that you offer, and I know you have more details to share. So how would people actually find you so they can get in contact with you, or get the more details on these offers that you mentioned?
Well, sure. So the website, they can just come to the website. We have the programs there listed, consciousfemininemedicine.com. And so I also recently, last year, released a book, which is The Birth of the Conscious Feminine. And there's a lot of practices there that they can do. And it really kind of walks them through the 5 sacred initiations to kind of start opening them to some of these concepts. But again, at the end of each chapter, because I'm a big believer in practicality, like, not just ideas, but how do we actually, access this,
right,
or feel this, or work with this. So there's also practices there that each person can do. Yeah.
They can find information on how to get that book on your website as well.
Yeah. And it's on the website. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else? We're coming to the close of our interview today. Is there anything just briefly you want to mention that you feel maybe
would
you
help.
have an urge to.
Well, I think for your listeners, in terms of hope and inspiration, I think it's really important to, well, two things to realize that when we do face challenges, and we all have challenges, I think we're here to evolve on all of our levels, spiritually, physically, emotionally. That the challenges, are coming from a loving universe, and so really it's a way, even though we might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but in a way it's actually allowing us to break through some of the limiting beliefs or patterns that we're holding that we may not even be aware of. So it's not like we're being punished, or, oh, we have bad luck, or, and so really kind of like understanding that, or at least accepting it, even if we don't understand it,
Right.
and starting to trust it. Okay, well, if this is, for me to open up to more love, then show me, and bringing that in as a prayer, because I know sometimes we do get stuck, and, and there is no hope. And so just, it's kind of like asking the universe exactly what you need, and communicating. And secondly, to remember that the universe is within you. It's not separate, and yes, it's manifesting everything, but it's also manifesting you, and so kind of like going within and asking, to building that relationship with the universe, with the divine, with the great mother, whatever you want to call it by, and acknowledging these feminine qualities, like the universe as the great mother, as that loving, loving goddess, if you may, because that's another one of our issues, that we haven't had that in our consciousness. So, the love has been missing. So, yeah. So that's what I wanted to just, little reminders that have helped me, in my journey when I've gotten into some deep holes.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I'm so excited and delighted that you joined us today, and it's always very inspirational for me to listen to you and be with you. So I also hope that the interview was enjoyed by the audience today, and definitely uh, check out both my website, www.sollite.com, and Dr. Leonor Murciano-Luna, consciousfeminine.com. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Be safe and happy, and many blessings.
Blessings. Peace.